Hey, my name is Shadow Sense, and you're watching Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York. I kept saying Coteries, but I'm going to try to correct that by saying Coteries instead. I think Coteries sounds better than Coteries, but it's pronounced Coteries. Anyway, we're resting up to get ready for our third night of Kindred Unlife. Once more, darkness falls upon the city. You wake up, same as you have these past few nights, in a windowless room. As you pry open the reinforced steel door, you look outside the window to see, invariably, a sky bereft of sunlight. And then it hits you. The hunger. For a moment, you let yourself wonder if there will ever come a night where it's just not there. Given what you've learned thus far, you probably have as much chance of kick-starting your heart with jumper cables. You lock the door behind you and head over to Sophie's apartment. You did promise to call her, might as well not keep the lady waiting. And hey, what else are you gonna do? Call Jess? Yeah, right. What would you tell her? Even if she picked up at all, she'd probably use the opportunity to stick some more needles in you. Or worse, persuade you to come back. Or go back to work? Yeah, who are we kidding? HR probably found a replacement the day after you went missing. Nobody there cares if you got kidnapped or turned into a creature of the night. These thoughts put you in a weird mood. It's a strange sensation to walk the crowded streets, same as you have so many times before, but feeling so disconnected. All these people. You're not one of them. Not anymore. You're a vampire. Kindred. And you need to carve your own path in this strange new existence one way or another. Appropriately enough, you arrive at Sophie's building just as that thought crosses your mind. A quick word with the security guard and you're led into the elevator. Apparently, Miss Langley is expecting you. Of course she is. You knock and wait patiently as the footsteps on the other side grow closer. Finally, the door opens and Gregory, Sophie's driver, lets you in. You find the lady herself standing by the window, silhouetted against the city's midnight glow. She stares out motionless like a marble statue. Ma'am? Is everything alright? She doesn't react immediately, but seems to snap out of some meditative state and looks at you with strangely bleary eyes. Just adjusting my mic. Yes, it is. How kind of you to ask. Tell me, when you look out at this city, when you see the lights, hear the hums, smell the rain on the pavement, what do you think about? You gaze out. The lights and rain, the relentless honking below, music blasting from a nearby window echoing off of buildings. Someone should record an hour of this and throw it up on YouTube as an ambient piece. Other than that, though, it's business as usual. The sights, the sounds, the smells, you know them all too well. Sophie watches you. You could tell she's disappointed somehow, but she covers it up with a courteous smile. Well, not everything can appreciate not everyone can appreciate the intricacies that the world offers. In fact, among kindred, my clan is somewhat notorious for finding innate meaning in even the mundane. You see, the blood that flows within me is that of Clan Toreador. I figured that out before recording today. She's 100% a Toreador. Just because, you know, she's kind of like, look at me, I'm fancy and cool. And also, I've been watching more LA by Night, and one of the characters is a Toreador. So I kind of picked up on the eccentricities of people who are from that clan. There are 13 such bloodlines among us kindred. Though that number has been contested in the past, and these nights it seems nothing is certain anymore. The clans have gone by many epithets over the years, but the names used these nights have their roots in medieval times. The original Inquisition, if you can believe it. They used these to categorize us, describe our inherent differences. In time, we adopted them ourselves. Each clan has a uniqueness about it. Inescapable, originating from an ancient progenitor. I don't know how you pronounce that word, actually. Carried from sire to child. For the Toreador, the gift lies in a sensitivity of sorts. We are uniquely attuned to beauty and ugliness both. We can see either where most cannot. A blessing on most nights, occasionally a curse. The sheriff is of my clan as well, although you'd be hard-pressed to see him as such. Poor Kadir. It breaks my heart to see him in such a state. Still, there is a beauty to it as well, nothing like a good fall from grace. Try as she might to act playful, you can tell she genuinely cares. She lets her gaze wander for a brief moment, but is quick to regain her composure. Then there are the Ventrue, known for their pride and a proclivity to rule over others. The prince represents that clan, as is quite common in our society around the globe. Where the Blue Bloods think themselves as rulers, the Bruja like to see themselves as the preeminent revolutionaries. They call for universal rebellion while being slaves to their own temper. That's me. I'm a Bruja. Except, according to the official quiz, I'm a Gangrel. So, who knows? We don't discuss the rabble much anymore. Not after they've largely broken off with the Camarilla. To think they were philosophers once, long ago. I hope to tell you more about some of the other bloodlines tonight. Say I meet a vampire for the first time. How can I tell what their clan is? Usually you cannot, with a few exceptions perhaps. For some clans, the uniqueness I mentioned bleeds into their appearance or disposition, but even that can be misleading. Outside of a few very specific cases, knowing one's clan is less important than understanding who they are personally. What drives them, their wants and needs, weaknesses too. Speaking of which, we come to the reason I wanted to speak to you tonight. It is customary in our society, especially among younger kindred, to organize in coteries. Sometimes they are called by the prince themselves or mandated by a fledgling sire. In our case, you may treat it as more of a strong recommendation. I want you to seek out companions, not only because you need to learn more about our society, but also because it is useful. True friendships are rare among kindred, but having allies, even temporary ones, is something of a necessity in these nights. We might be selfish creatures, but we are drawn to each other nonetheless. Any suggestions on where I should start looking? I was just about to get to that. She puts on a mysterious smile. I spent some of my precious time last night asking around, pondering potential kindred for you to meet. Came up with a short list of contacts. I hope that you'll appreciate the gesture. Forging a partnership with them might offer perspectives and viewpoints that I cannot provide, lenses through which to view our own kind. They are all members of the Camarilla, of course, more or less. Alright then, let's hear it. Who's on the list? Eager to learn about them, I see. Good, I'm glad. Okay. So let us start with the Tremere. They are a powerful clan, disliked by many, but feared and respected by many more. They have been an important pillar of the Camarilla since the very beginning. They are blood sorcerers. You look at Sophie with a hint of disbelief. Blood sorcerers? Pretty sure Mark from QA used to brag about having a level 70 blood sorcerer. What is he playing, Diablo? That sounds like a Diablo thing. I've never played Diablo, so I don't know, actually. Somehow, you don't think he meant magical vampires. Sophie snickers. Oh, child, don't be caught with that look on your face when you meet a warlock in person. They really are adept at using vitae, their own as well as others, to unique and potent effects. Since they are quite rigid in their hierarchy, the kindred I had in mind for you might need some persuading. His name is Agathon. From what I hear, he's quite the scholar. Very ambitious, the child of a noted Tremere here in New York. Aisling Sturbridge. Spend enough time with Agathon and I'm sure you'll run into her sooner or later. God, my microphone being off-center is like kind of bugging me. This is one of those things where I'm like, just there. Anyway. So by getting to know this Agathon, I can get closer to someone higher up the ladder? Yes, though not immediately, I would imagine. Aisling finds herself in somewhat a precarious position both in the city and her clan. Every move she makes is heavily scrutinized, thus she has learned to tread lightly. Anyway, if you wish to contact the young Tremere, I hear you can usually find him in a New Age bookstore out on Broadway. The Tremere have one of their workshops there. Gregory will give you the details. Now this next recommendation comes with a bit of a caveat. As you recall me saying, most bloodlines have unique features that might not be obvious at first glance. Well, there is one clan whose members wear their curse on their sleeves. Nosferatu, baby! Yep. The Nosferatu. Man, what's with the goofy names? Guess they're really big on Blue Oyster Cult. Oh, man. No wonder they make their havens in sewers, abandoned buildings, and such. Their appearance is hideous and obviously unnatural. Had they walked the streets like other kindred, the kind would have learned of her existence long ago. Did she just shudder? It's hard to tell with her usual complexion, but you could swear her skin suddenly took on an even more sickly color. The one I have in mind isn't as big an eyesore as the worst of them, but he's no Adonis either. Still, he has some talents and connections that you might find useful. His name is D'Angelo, and he has an office, for lack of a better term, in the otherwise abandoned grain terminal in Red Hook, right next to one of those Swedish stores. The name escapes me. The one with the awful furniture. Do you mean IKEA? He's near an IKEA. The Swedish furniture store? You mean IKEA? Yes, that's it. My mind struggles to retain things that are aesthetically displeasing. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the all-white minimalist look. It's fucking boring. Make your shit look like it's lived in. I see all these, like... Random Frank P is especially bad at this, is that he'll show off, like, people's room tours, and it's all just this minimalist white and gray color scheme. There's, like, just a 60% keyboard, a wireless mouse, and then, like, a monitor. You can't see cords anywhere. It's boring. It's fucking boring and bland and tasteless, and I hate it. Make your shit look like it's lived in, okay? Just have a little bit of dust on something, for fuck's sake. That's my minimalism rant, and I owe a lot of the minimalist look to IKEA. D'Angelo does odd jobs for Coterie, digging up dirt, locating kindred who would prefer to remain hidden, the kind of work the Nosferatu are best at. He's on a case right now, something to do with kin murderers, I think. I don't know if it's kind or kin, so I'm just going to use them interchangeably. After your initial brush with our dear sheriff, I think it would be wise to show some goodwill towards his agenda. Assisting D'Angelo with his investigation might just be the thing. She takes a brief pause to look out of the window again. Now come the two more exotic proposals. Exotic? As if the blood mage and the vampire detective were business as usual. You may have heard about the Gangrel before. They are a wild clan, in touch with their beast in a way others might not dare to attempt. They mostly keep out of big cities, but there are exceptions. Nominally, they haven't been a part of the Camarilla for over 2 decades, but the one kindred I would like you to meet has strong, shall we say, familial ties to the sect. Her name is Tamika. Her sire, Jezebel, was instrumental during the Battle of New York back in 1999, the very same battle that cemented the city as a Camarilla domain. Now, I guess dominion is the same word. Sadly, her achievements have gone largely unrecognized. Tamika and a number of her siblings still reside in the domain they were awarded after the battle, Prospect Park. Jezebel herself left the city some years ago, fed up with being underappreciated. Siblings? Like, actual biological brothers and sisters? No, not in the mortal sense. The Gangrels sometimes use the word brood to indicate child or begat by the same sire. As you can probably tell, they do take the whole animal motif quite far. I'm not sure how many of them there are, but they are rumored to be a tight-knit group. The Gangrel often act on instinct, so when you meet Tamika or her siblings, be careful not to slight them. They are easily provoked and can hold a grudge for a long time. I speak from experience. So you see, seeking out Tamika could prove quite educational if nothing else. And who knows, perhaps you will find her temperament to be a welcome change of pace. But speaking of a change of pace, I have one last suggestion for you, though it's one I don't make lightly. The kindred who calls herself Hope. She is Malkavian. They are a uniquely cursed clan. For centuries we considered them mad, insane, unhinged, but those of us who spend enough time with them come to understand the truth. It is no sickness, but a unique perception of the world that has them appear to us as unstable, and that perception can prove to be very valuable. Having a Malkavian as your companion might be taxing on the nerves and a true test of patience at times, but their insight and intuition are unrivaled among kindred. As for Hope specifically, she's said to be a recluse, but I have it on good authority that she can be currently found in an internet cafe. I believe it's called in Lower Manhattan. Gregory has the address. Internet cafe? Really? How quaint. I really wouldn't know. But since you brought it up, be aware that the Camarilla is highly critical of using the internet to communicate. The Second Inquisition made sure of that. Exercise caution when at her haven. Well, I believe that's all of them. I still have a few social calls to make tonight, so I'll leave you to it. Use tonight and tomorrow night to arrange some cordial visits of your own. I will send Gregory for you as soon as I have further need of your services. Oh, that reminds me. You will need a car. Join us downstairs, won't you? Yo, she bought me a fucking whip? She smiles once more and turns to her driver. He helps her put on a coat, and the three of you leave Sophie's apartment. Sophie points to one of the cars near the building as Gregory hands you the keys. It's a rather inconspicuous compact car, a decent looking if not luxurious ride. Stay safe, Shadow. This is your first night alone. Don't let it be your last. As they drive away, you find yourself with more freedom than you've had for the past few nights. A blessing or a burden? Time will tell. With a list of addresses in hand, you consider your next move. Ooh, okay. Which one's the Malkavian? Kind of want to hang out with the Malkavian. Or maybe the Tremere. Let's go for the farthest one up. Sophie's mention of a vampire clan of blood sorcerers sparked your attention. One of them, Agathon, could potentially be your introduction to the bizarre powers of the Tremere. You arrive at the address given you by Sophie, a small bookstore smack dab in the middle of Broadway, of all places. What really catches you off guard, though, is the store's display. From what you've heard about the Tremere, they are infamous for their ties to the occult and the mystical. And yet now, looking at the oddball collection of items in the display window, it all feels borderline satirical. The books here cover everything from, Ayurvedic practices and homeopathy to wellness and self-motivation. The vaguely amusing juxtapositions don't end there either. You notice a copy of Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible tucked behind a cheap, smiling Buddha. A scientific journal on hematology sits next to a teen-oriented pamphlet on the blood-type personality theory. A number of religious and quasi-religious symbols, lockets, pins, and various emblazoned paraphernalia are haphazardly strewn across the display between the tomes. Before you even open the door, you can smell the burning incense and hear the corny, Far East-tinged music seeping through the crackling speaker mounted above the entrance. It is much more quaint than what you would have expected from what Sophie told you about the so-called warlocks. It doesn't look like they have much interest in impressing outsiders. Then again, if there's anything you've learned these past few nights, it's that appearances can be deceiving. At this time of night, the shop appears to be closed. Regardless, you ring the bell. You hear someone shuffling around inside. A brief moment later, the latch slides and the doors push open just a few inches. A tired-looking blonde in loose clothes appears in the crack. She seems confused, like you just woke her up. She lets out a yawn, scratching at her tattooed neck. Finally, she squints at in your general direction. Her pierced lip curves into an awkward smile. Got anything
You got any vampire books?
I'm looking for a guy named Agathon. Is he around? The girl gives you a suspicious look over, but opens the door. She takes a few steps back, and you hear footsteps coming from behind a floral curtain that covers the back door. A bespectacled, smart-looking woman emerges and looks straight at you. Come in and follow me. Just don't touch anything, please. You follow her through the store. Inside, as expected, the stuffy air smells of sandalwood, frankincense, and a dozen other aromas. The woman leads you behind a curtain and through the back door onto a rickety staircase. A flight of steps takes you up to the second story. You instantly notice the change in decor as the tacky New Age bookstore gives way to something resembling a cross between a library and a workshop. The smell here is strong too, but much more layered. You're not sure what to make of it at first, but with each whiff it becomes apparent. Blood. The aroma, though subtle at first, soon becomes overpowering. It takes you a moment to adapt and focus. I don't think you know who you're speaking with, so an introduction is in order. My name is Aisling Sturbridge, and I am the High Regent of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs. You are Shadow, correct? I have to say, you're lucky the ward outside the building is only here for only there for notifications tonight. Otherwise, it would have been quite unpleasant. To answer your question, Agathon is here, but he's hard at work, and I wouldn't want to disturb him. Am I to understand this is a social visit? Wait, how do you know who I am? Well, for one thing, knowing who's who in this city is one of my duties as High Regent, but more importantly, you've been in the mind of many a kindred since Langley took you in. It's quite a precedent, as I'm sure you know, a first under Prince Panhard. Yeah, and for Sophie to be the one to do it. Curiouser and curiouser. Still, I'm sure you haven't come here to look for dirt on your sire. That would be unwise. I didn't expect to meet you here. I came here to find Agathon and talk to him about working together. As you might have gathered, he is busy at the moment. So am I, in fact. So, unless there's anything else... Suddenly, a man enters from the side room. He doesn't even look at you, lost in his own thoughts. I have it, Aisling. I think I know how to find it. He catches himself as he notices you. His face turns sour. A visitor? Yes, we were just discussing you, in fact. Is that so? Yes, Sophie Langley recommended that I contact you about teaming up. Teaming up? He seems very confused by the notion. What for? Well, I could use your knowledge. I'm new here, and a scholar like yourself could teach me a lot, I imagine. You're not wrong. He turns to Aisling. Hi, Regent, may I ask your advice on this? She looks you over as if judging your worth. It takes her just long enough to make you feel uncomfortable. Actually, my child, I would consider giving this one a chance to prove their worth. Oh? She addresses you. I'm trying to understand why Langley took an interest in you, Shadow, and I might have caught a glimpse of her reasoning. I think it may be of aid to Agathon in his current task. Why don't you start by giving our intern here a brief explanation about what it is you're after? Agathon gives Aisling a hesitant look, but the woman nods approvingly. Encouraged, he turns towards you. Member of our clan disappeared without a trace a handful of nights ago. While the High Regent investigates if any foul play was involved, I have been tasked with recovering her research notes. If there is anything left to uncover, that is. I may have an idea of where to start looking, and I suppose this is where you come in. Thought I saw a cat paw under my door. If you truly wish to help, I could use your assistance tonight. Right now, in fact. Given the time we've just wasted on idle chatter, I should leave immediately. And the missing kindred? Who is she? A single glance at Aisling is enough. You can tell you're not getting an answer, at least for now. We're after her research. That's what you should focus on. These people aren't in the habit of making things simple. Facing layers upon layers of secrecy, you can only hope that what lies beneath is the real deal. I'm heading out. Are you coming or not? You know what? I think we will. But we'll do that in the next episode. So thank you guys so very much for watching the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this one, please consider subscribing. And until then, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.